So welcome everyone to our Creative Sensei channel here, our space for all things creative. Let's try to make a more creative world. And our guest today has been kind enough to find some time to share with us. He is Mario Armstrong. He's an American radio and TV talk show host, Emmy Award winner 2 times, which is important, and entrepreneur, public speaker, podcaster, and many other things. He got here to the place he is now by dreaming far and focusing near. And with a lot of sacrifice and hard work, he's got in a position now where he can help others to achieve their own dreams. And he's doing that mostly through his YouTube channel, Never Settle, highly recommended. Okay, so welcome to the space, Mario. Thank you so much for coming here.
Oh, it's a pleasure and an honor. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate you reaching out to me, and I can't wait for the outcome of your book, and I can't wait for what you're going to do for readers and listeners. So thank you so much.
Okay, well, thanks for the prompt. I'm gonna say I'm actually writing a book on creativity and play in the workplace. I don't know exactly what will come out of it, but it's an amazing process so far, thanks to Eric Koster and his program in Book Creators. So I know you're also a business owner. You have your own a business, and I'm sure you have to innovate that sometimes. And you have a team behind the team. You are very proud to share your Emmy with, because
yes, absolutely,
a team effort. So how do you foster creativity in your team? And how much do you get in return? The ROI.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so in order to do anything great, it has to be bigger than you. And as soon as you can understand, so the first thing in order to generate creativity from others is to remove the ego of oneself. If you can remove your ego from yourself, you take your self-centered position and you move that away, and now you become more collective in your thinking, more inclusive in your thinking, more open in your thinking, because it's bigger than you. So a lot of times leaders need to recalibrate their internal pride and their internal ego and recalibrate it to say, in order for my team to be creative, I have to empower them. So in order for them to be creative, they have to feel that their ideas, that their thoughts, that their pitches are of value. And so how do you do that? Well, you do that by creating an open space where you give people room to make suggestions and ideas without judgment. The minute you judge somebody based off the idea, after you just gave them room, and then you judge them, and if you judge them in a non-favorable way, they will clam up and they will never open back up again, because they don't really believe that you are really fostering an open environment for creativity. So the first thing is like aligning as a leader, aligning your intent and making sure that you're not self-serving with your intent, that you understand that things are larger than you, and you can go fast alone, but you can go much farther together. So that's the first thing. And then the second thing I would say is to foster creativity is to enable people, enable your employees, enable your team members to take risk. We are such risk-adverse people. We are scared of taking risk. And when we are scared of taking risk, we cannot stretch. And when we cannot stretch, we can't see what's possible. We can't even begin to touch our capacity and our potential when we do not stretch. And the only way you stretch is if you take chances. But if you're in an environment where you get looked down upon for taking a chance and it not work out favorably, you aren't going to get the creativity that you're looking for. So in order to really create that kind of environment, you have to put in a way for employees and teams to tell them, I want you to take small calculated risks, and it's okay if they don't work out. Just tell me what we learned from it. The only way you fail at taking risks, the only way you lose, is if you try something and you don't learn from it. But every single time you try something and you decide if it didn't work out the way I intended, well, what did I learn from that? That now informs me for the next thing that I try out. And eventually you will score. Eventually you will hit. So so in order to foster creativity, one, there has to be a belief that management is truly about empowering us, truly, and means it, and is open to that. It's not self-serving to them. Two, that you have to allow people to take risks, and taking risk is okay as long as you learn from the risk. Those to me are the number two things in fostering creativity. The third thing that I would say is you have to understand your teammates and your employees. What helps them be creative? Do they need to have some time off from work, from the day to day? Do you need to give Fridays 3 hours on a Friday for them to go and do their own thing? Do you need to allow employees to be able to have 10% of their working time just to be focused on anything they would enjoy doing? Like anything. It could be a new product idea. It could be a different angle or a different approach, but just carving out, Google does this. They give a certain amount of percentage to their employees of their work time to be able to work on other projects, and other software and programs have come out of that type of activity. So I think those three things are super important. And then I think the last thing that we do when we hire people, which is really the first thing that we do. But when we hire people, we ask them, what are you passionate about? It's a different question. It's not what makes you think you can do this job well. It's not, let's talk about your past experiences and what you bring to the table and what your skills are. Most human beings can be taught any skill. Most human beings, we're all very adaptable. We're all very intelligent. We're all very smart. So I'm not really worried about whether or not someone is going to perform their job well, because they wouldn't have applied if they didn't think they could. I wouldn't have brought them in if I already didn't look at their background and their history and their experience, or call a referral or two to find out. So I've already done that work. So now I really want to know, what moves you? And usually they think it has to do with something with the job. And so they'll answer me with like, well, what moves me about this position? No. What moves you? Like, what motivates you? Oh, like, what do you enjoy to do? Oh, you mean outside of work? In work, outside of work, in life? Like, what do you enjoy? What are you passionate about? And this is a very important question to all my leaders, because if you actually ask this question with true empathy, that means you actually are really caring to hear this answer, that you really want to understand the person that you're working with or hiring or thinking about hiring, and they tell you what they're passionate about. It is now your job. It's my job to try to find ways that their passion gets infused into my business. Because if I can find connections where projects, skills, programs, ideas have any kind of connection to their true passion or things that they really enjoy, they're going to be happy. If they're going to be happy, they're going to be creative. You do not create when you're angry. You create, some people create when they're angry, but that's not the environment I want to foster. I want to foster a positive environment of creativity. So I really think it's important that we ask that question, because if you can align certain tasks and certain work and projects, if you can find any alignment with any of those things inside of your company with their true passions, you will have the most creative workers.
Okay, that's fantastic. I was smiling all the time because I could be saying your words. I share totally the same approach and philosophy. So it's like, yeah, no wonder why you're here. One quick question on this one. Do you remember any specific case of some employee that was probably new to the culture because he came from other environments, and then probably was shy at the beginning, but with this environment came across and told and gave a great idea? I don't know.
This is a great question, because when you ask questions like this, and you really care about human beings. And if you're that type of leader, then that usually sends a signal that things are going to be different around here. Like the way this culture operates is probably going to be different. And it's true. So in my business, in the media business, we hire a lot of producers, people that create and write and edit and produce TV and video and web programs. They aren't used to our culture. And I've been an employee inside. So I know what that also feels like. But when we hire people and we allow them to be creative, when we say, what do you think? You know, we're not just dictating to you what we want you to do. We want you to come to us with ideas. And they go, wait, you really want my idea? Like, I'm just a production assistant. No, that's right. We still want your idea. I don't care if you're the janitor. We want your ideas. And so they go, okay, but then they're super shy. They never really raise their hand because they don't believe it. They're like, yeah, right. You're not going to listen to anything. Even if I do come up with something, you're not going to implement it. There's no way. Right. So they have to kind of be brought in slowly. And sometimes in some meetings, I will actually have somebody who I know isn't shy, somebody that's been with the company for a little while. And I'll say, hey, look, when I ask this question around these new employees, make sure that you start by offering up a suggestion. And do me a favor, ask the others to be encouraged. Say, come on, we can come up with something. Let's go. Like, encourage other people. Okay. Do that for me in case no one says anything and it becomes crickets. Can you just be a little cheerleader to try to get them to kind of come out of their shell? And that always works. So I remember a particular case for the Never Settle show where we were asking for advice and input on a new segment idea that we wanted to introduce into the show. And this was going to be a segment idea where we take the cameras around out and about in New York City, and we were going to just ask people. We call it person on the street, man on the street, and we were going to walk around and ask random people questions about pursuing their passion and whether or not they have their goals and whether, like, what their dreams are, like things like that. And we were going to do the standard thing, just walk out with a mic. And I'll never forget that we had a production assistant say, wait, what if you set up like a lemonade stand in the middle of Central Park and we had cameras and people could give you like a dime or 15 cents and you would really give them lemonade. But when they got their lemonade, you would then ask them like what their passion is or what their purpose is or and I thought that was the most amazing idea ever. I'm like, yes, that's it. We're going to shoot that. We are going to actually do that. And you should have just seen her face just kind of like get like in total red, like embarrassed. Like she was smiling, she was happy, but it was one of those moments where we didn't think of that. She thought of that, didn't believe it would happen. And then she tells us after the fact, she was like, oh my gosh. And this goes on in our company. I never knew that you all were really real. I thought this was kind of like, maybe they're real, maybe they're fake. I can't tell, but this is really real. And she goes, what I just have realized is I have to deprogram myself from basically the PTSD that I was dealing with back at the way most productions are run, which is much more like a hierarchy process and dictated process and cutthroat process. And where she got into this loving environment and was just like, what is this that you all have created? And so I do believe that, creativity and the ability to nurture the best from your teammates and the best from your employees starts from the top down. If you're not getting that out of your employees, I think you are the one that needs to do some more soul searching and really try to figure out how you can be a more caring and empathetic leader. That does not mean that you can't hit your goals. That does not mean that you can't be profitable. It just means that you're a more mindful business manager or a business leader while you're hitting those goals.
Yeah, that's a great story. I was wondering whether some people would actually not take it in your company, like walk away because it's too creative culture for them.
That's
too listening, too empathic.
Yeah, we haven't had anyone say, "Oh my God, this is too good to be true. I'm out of here." We haven't had that we haven't had that yet. No, most of the time, what we get is, people have to be deprogrammed. So one of the things that we also do to help foster creativity is we have a document, we have a manifesto. And this manifesto is a 10-point document. I can share it with you if you want to take some of
Yeah.
these elements and source it into your book.
Yeah, sure.
But one of those is no assumptions rule. Like we don't make assumptions in our company, so we go and find the facts. Another one is that you cannot throw anyone under the bus. So there's no gossip, no room for any of that water cooler talk about other people in the company. It forces people to be solution oriented, not who made the problem, but it doesn't matter. There's a problem and we're all going to fix it. And so when you really start to condition people that you will be okay if you take risks. If you take a risk and you fail, you will not be let go.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. Okay. Then number one. Number two, other people will not throw you under the bus. If they do, it's not tolerated here. We let people go if that ever happens. Number three, no title is any more important than another person's title. Yes, we have a structure. Yes, we are a company. Yes, there are channels and there are processes and there are ways that decisions can be made, but that does not belittle your role just because of what your title is. Everybody carries the same weight. And so that takes a lot of getting used to, which is why we had to really type it up as a cultural document and say, before we hire you, you have to read this. You have to sign this and you have to put your initials on it that you understand that this is the culture that we are developing.
It's funny. It's just different from sign an NDA, sign a NDA if you want to work here.
Yeah, it's like forget the intellectual property. Are you a good human being?
Yes, this is a human being checklist.
Yeah, right.
It's like the, how do you call this? I can't remember now. The every time I'm not a robot type of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just to finish off, because I know the time is tight. I know times are being very difficult for many people. I wonder if you have any suggestion, but tactical advice, because you're very specific in your advice in general about how to leverage creativity to keep moving forward to those who are actually struggling. And actually, I'm gonna say goodbye just in case time goes off and my connection
Okay.
runs out. Okay.
Okay.
I know it's a tricky question. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. I first want to say to all of you that are struggling, this is a very unknown time. This is a very time of uncertainty, and you're not alone. So first and foremost, I think it's very important to know that you're not in this by yourself. So you should really try to speak up and talk to people that are in your circles, or even people outside of your circles that are in your industry or in your area of passion, because so many more people that you may not be aware of are going through the exact same challenges that you are, and you become stronger when you can find those other people. So don't think that you're on an island of one right now. You did not make this happen to you. This is something that was beyond your control, and it's causing all of us to make some kind of pivot and some kind of change. I was used to doing 30 speaking events per year, and I would fly to different cities. All of that money is gone. Like that whole line of income for me is gone. And that's just one example of one thing. My show can't be shot right now. Like we can't shoot it. We used to have 50, 60 people in studio. So what am I going to do in the meantime? Like I was paralyzed too, and I was stuck as well. So tactically, I would suggest a couple of things. Number one, I would say that you need to think through how can you virtualize your services, your brand, or your business. Like think through what's the virtual way of you being able to do what you love to do, or the virtual way of doing what you were doing before. So I know that Variety Magazine got very tactical. They do 70 physical events per year, physical before COVID. Now they, in the first 6 months of this year in 2020, they did 60 events. In 6 months, they've almost hit their yearly number when they would do physical events, because you can do more virtual events. But here's the thing, when they would do their physical events, they only got 10% turnout. When they do their virtual events, they got 43% turnout. That is such an improvement and such a big gain. And so now they're saying to themselves, oh, we're never just going to do physical events again. We will forever do physical and virtual events. When people can come back out, when we can have physical events and people can congregate, we're still going to make it virtual as well. So those of you that want to come physically, you can come. But for those of you around the world that can't or don't want to, you'll still be able to access it now. And so that's going to increase everything about their business. And so now they're thinking about the future, and they're taking risk and working through things now to try to figure things out so that when things do calm down, they'll be in a better position to take advantage of that. So I want you to think that way as well, tactically. I want you to virtualize yourself, your business, your ideas, the things that you do, and really think, how can I do any of these things virtually? That's number one. Number two, well, number one is understanding that you didn't make this thing happen. You aren't the only one on unemployment. You aren't the only one that's out of work. You aren't the only one that's suffering. And I really appreciate and understand that suffering. I lost 2 family members from COVID, so it's a real thing for me. So thank you. So I completely, an aunt and uncle on 2 different sides of the family, but I completely understand. So number one, don't beat yourself up. Slow down with the negative thoughts and the inner critic. If you have negative thoughts, what I want you to do is create a motivational playlist. Very tactical. I want you to put your favorite songs that make you smile, that make you dance, that make you happy, that make you sing. Put that playlist together. And when you feel down, you're going to play that music. That's number one. All right. Number two is that I want you to really think about how you can virtualize yourself, your business, your service, your offerings. And then number three, I really want you to start to position yourself for the future with work that you can do now. It's very important. The only way to deal with negativity and the only way to deal with procrastination and anxiety and angst, one of the best ways, not the only way, but one of the best ways to deal with it is to actually take action doing something that you like or doing something that makes you feel like you're getting ahead. Typically, we feel overwhelmed. We feel like we're not going to get anywhere. We feel like this is it's too heavy and I don't know where to start. So I freeze. And what I'm trying to tell you is even the smallest micro action matters. You just need to get back in the game. And so I want you to do what I call your next right move. What you're going to ask yourself is this question: Lisa, Tony, Tom, like, what is my next right move? Okay, my next right move is that I need to figure out how to virtualize my offerings. Okay, what's your next right move? Let me grab a sheet of paper and a pen and write down what I think I can virtualize. Do you see the minutia I'm going through? I'm doing this on purpose because that is how small these moments, not that you're going to fix this. I need to come up with a way to make money right now. That's too heavy. You're going to feel the angst and you're not going to get, no. What's your next right move? And if you ask yourself that over and over and over, so then you write these things down. Okay, I've written them down. What's my next right move? To really look at this sheet of paper and figure out which one of these things I think I can actually start generating some income from. Or maybe my next right move is to call one of my friends and ask them, what do they think about this list that I just put together, and get some feedback. Like, these are very small moves that you do consistently. And then within 2 weeks, you look up and you're actually doing something, or in a month, you actually look up and you're actually doing something. And now you feel much better about the progress that you're making for yourself. And then the last thing, I was going to say, the last thing I would say is every day, please remind yourself before you go to bed, ask yourself this question: what was a win for me today? So often when things are very challenging and negative, especially in this kind of environment, it's very easy for us to see everything that's wrong with ourselves, with the world, our relationships, our company, the people we work for. So easy. But what I want you to do is and that's because our brain, this is all neuroscience. Our brain is doing this to protect us. It doesn't want us to do anything uncomfortable. So it's in fear of all the things that it's afraid of. So that thing stays in the front of your mind because you're afraid of it. So instead, what I want you to do is try to start conditioning yourself to say, what went well today? Fine. I don't care if it was your peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Mhm.
Don't, it doesn't have to be a big thing. I don't care if you finally got the nerve to send that one email that you've been waiting to send, or if you finally decided that you're going to go out on your own and try to take your skills and make your own thing, or you decided you're going to file that paperwork for that nonprofit, or you decided that you're actually going to get 7 to 8 hours of good rest and you're going to start the day with exercise. Like, what is the one thing before you go to bed that you can say, here's one win I had today? Use that every day as fuel to remind you that you're a good human and that you're trying to accomplish things and that it's not as bad as it seems. And then, oh, can I just share one more? And the last one is because it's so many of these, tactical things. The last thing I would say is this: you cannot control things that you can't control. And I know you're like, oh, come on, but it's so true. Like, let go of the things you can't control. What you can control is whether or not you get enough rest. What you can control is whether or not you wake up and you decide that you're going to try to have a better attitude. You can control making your own motivational playlist. You can control writing down a few things that you can virtualize your ideas. You can control calling a few friends to find out what they're doing and maybe get some ideas from them about how they're handling themselves in this uncertain environment. Like, control the things you can control, but don't worry about the things you can't.
Well, thank you so much for being such a good human to all the rest of us.
I try.
For your